Madam Speaker, I rise today to address a situation surrounding the senior senator from California, Dianne Feinstein. The latest news is that our governor, Gavin Newsom, is now talking about appointing Oprah to the U.S. Senate as a replacement. Now, Gavin Newsom has been talking about replacing Senator Feinstein for over 2 years. He started publicly speculating about this in 2021 about who he would replace, and at that point, Senator Feinstein was barely a third of the way through her term. California's other senator, Alex Padilla, was himself first got his office through appointment by Governor Newsom. So if there was, in fact, an appointment of Senator Feinstein, then both of our U.S. senators would have been handpicked, not by millions of voters, but by a single person to initially get their jobs. At this moment, pressure is coming from all directions when it comes to this situation and with a race for 2024 already underway. A number of sitting members of the House have actually overtly called on Senator Feinstein to resign. Ro Khanna said, "It's time for Senator Feinstein to resign. We need to put the country ahead of personal loyalty. Well, she has had a lifetime of public service. It is obvious she can no longer fulfill her duties. Not speaking out undermines our credibility as elected representatives of the people." That's what he said. You also had Congresswoman Tlaib, as well as Congresswoman Kamala Gurdjieff, make similar comments urging the senator to vacate her office. And the individual who's being supported by Congresswoman Khanna, Barbara Lee, has said, she told KQED that she would accept an appointment to the job if Governor Gavin Newsom offered it to her. Meanwhile, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who of course herself is from California, is supporting another candidate, Congressman Schiff, and there have been a number of recent headlines related to this. This comes from Politico, which says that Feinstein's primary caregiver is Pelosi's daughter. The subheadline says, "A quiet caretaking arrangement has raised questions about whether Nancy Pelosi has the ailing senator's personal interests at heart." Another headline from Washington Examiner, "Pelosi's secret campaign to aid Feinstein and get Schiff into the Senate." From Fox News, "Pelosi's office denies her daughter is aiding Feinstein to help Adam Schiff win a Senate seat." So this is just a mess. None of it right now is about what is in the interest of Senator Feinstein, the interest of our state, or the interest of our country. It is all about politics. And so I believe the solution is to do away with the possibility of a gubernatorial appointment altogether. That way, Senator Feinstein can make a decision on her own terms. She will know that whether she finishes her term or whether she steps down before the end of her term, it is California voters who will decide who her successor will be. That is what will allow her to make a decision without all of the distractions of politics at the moment. To that end, I have introduced a constitutional amendment doing away with appointed senators. Now, this would make it so the Senate is the same as the House. You don't have any appointed members of the House who step onto this floor. Yet you've had a lot of appointed senators. So I want to make it the same way that if you want to represent your state as a United States senator, you need to be elected to do so. Indeed, this is really an anachronism, this process of appointing senators in the case of a vacancy. And it's been subject to rampant abuse. We had a Governor, Rod Blagojevich, go to prison after he essentially auctioned off Barack Obama's vacated Senate seat. We've had governors who have appointed family members, who have appointed their spouses. Several governors have even appointed themselves. So I am calling on members of the House and Senate to join me in passing that to do away with this anachronistic, anti-democratic process of appointing senators. But in the meantime, this almost certainly will not take effect prior to the current situation with Senator Feinstein being resolved. So I am calling on the state legislature in California which has oversight over election laws and itself is responsible for creating the procedure for a gubernatorial appointment, to address the situation. And there's actually a little bit of a backstory here, because when Senator Padilla was appointed to the Senate following the election of Kamala Harris as vice president, I raised an issue at the time with the legality of that appointment. And actually, the state legislative analyst's office, or legislative counsel's office in California, agreed with me that it would not be constitutional for the governor to appoint a senator who would then serve out the remainder of Kamala Harris's term, which was set to expire in 2022. And the reason for that is that the Constitution, the 17th Amendment, only allows temporary appointments. So if you appoint someone who serves the rest of the term, that's not temporary, that's permanent. So what the legislature did in response to the legal issue I raised and that the Legislative Counsel's Office agreed with me on, is they passed a bill to say that, okay, we will have a special election to determine who the new senator is going to be and who's going to finish the term, but we're not going to have that special election until the next election. So that actually happened in November of 2022. At the exact same time, we held the election for who would serve the new 6-year term. It was an absurdity. We literally had the same election on the ballot twice. One was for the new 6-year term. The other was just for the last couple months, the lame duck portion of the existing term. That was the way our legislature figured out to give basically as much advantage to the governor's chosen appointed senator as possible, while still abiding by the letter, if not the spirit, of the 17th Amendment. So what I've been in conversations with some members of the legislature about is they should change this law, or at the very least making an exception to it for the current situation with Senator Feinstein, to say that if there is a vacancy, then there will not be an appointment, that there will be an immediate special election, and that is how the successor will be chosen for the remainder of Senator Feinstein's term, which is set to expire in 2024. I think that this is what it will allow for fairness in the process of choosing our next senator. It will give millions of Californians a say rather than just one individual, and it will give Senator Feinstein the ability to make a decision that is best for her, best for the state, and best for the country. And so I urge that action on the part of the California legislature and governor. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I yield back.